Hey guys, you got Crave here with a monitor from LG with the generic model name of 27GL850. It's a QHD or 1440 16:9 panel from their UltraGear line. Now in terms of specs, it's pretty standard for some panels labeled as gaming. It has a 1 millisecond response time, a 144 refresh rate, thin borders, and it also has adaptive sync. Now, what might not be as common is that it has a G-Sync. Well, it's G-Sync compatible, which is NVIDIA's implementation of adaptive sync without the actual module itself. So this is probably why this particular monitor or panel isn't as pricey as those compared with the real G-Sync modules. One other thing that differentiates this from other IPS panels is that it uses NanoIPS tech, or it's basically a small step above the standard IPS where the display covers a wide color range. I've also been seeing some posts that the quantum dot-like implementation allows for faster response times. Now, given the specs I mentioned earlier, I honestly and really wouldn't have noticed if it does improve responsiveness. It feels like a standard high refresh and fast response panel. The colors though, they seem livelier compared to most IPS panels, and especially against this much older the much older Dell monitor I replaced with this one. In terms of construction, it seems like a sturdy panel when I put it together. I'm not a fan of the red coloring on the base of the stand, but maybe they wanted it to match the design on the back of the panel. I suppose if it's directly in front of you, you wouldn't notice the red portion of it since it's in the back part. Now, in terms of ergonomics, it has some standard and some good things going for it, but I do feel it has a very big lack for a display that was released in 2019. Now, you can move it up and down with the base. That's pretty normal. You can also turn it and place it in a vertical position. With that, you can only turn it clockwise when you're facing the front part of the panel. I thought I'd mention that if it matters. And the panel also tilts forward and backward, but I do feel like the range is a bit limited. Now, what's missing is being able to swivel it left and right. Now, I don't know why that's not there for a panel that was released just recently, but that can be solved by using a monitor arm. While on ergonomics, let me show you right now how the stand detaches, which reveals the VESA allocation. As you can see right now, it's pretty easy to remove. You don't really need help from anyone else, and I think that's pretty standard for most panels. Now, in terms of removing it from the stand, I never really intended to use the base and the stand that came with it, as it was always meant to be on top of my ultra-wide panel. In terms of connectivity, it is pretty standard in terms of the range of options you have. So you have 3 USB ports, 1 for DisplayPort, 2 for HDMI, and 1 headphone jack. Now, of course, it also has the power output, but again, you need that to basically run the panel. So pretty standard stuff. Now, underneath the monitor is one of the features I've always liked about LG is the joy control at the bottom, which remains intuitive as always. Hitting the button allows for quick settings like power, gamer modes, but you also have more options, which changes the alignment of the settings menu to the right of the screen. Now, what you can select there is pretty standard for most gaming panels, and it is something you can fiddle with until you get the display settings you eventually want. On display settings, while the monitor is great in terms of showing visuals, and really especially during gaming, it isn't the best at showing deep blacks, and it basically shows that it's still an IPS panel. It's better at showing darker tones, but again, it's not the best. Now, for HDR performance, the monitor isn't the best at it as well. I mean, I don't even bother using it as it doesn't reach the proper brightness levels that you would expect for real HDR panels. Now, you can of course turn it on and you might notice a minor change, but it's really not enough that you'd leave it working or leave it turned on. Overall, the 27GL850 is a good panel replacement for my old IPS QHD panel. It has improved response times and faster refresh rates. Sure, the NanoIPS part is, well, just a fancy way of saying improved IPS, but it is an improvement nonetheless if you were to get my opinion. The colors have that additional zing to it that perfectly runs well with the gaming attributes that go with the panel. I honestly didn't really think about getting a QHD panel this year, but given the crazy prices of graphics cards, where the ones I really want have more than doubled in price, Yeah, I think I'll wait and use this LG panel for games that might require more horsepower, and for lighter games, I think I can still stick with my 3440 by 1440 panel. That 800 plus pixel difference is really a big deal in terms of maintaining certain FPS numbers. I'll probably think about GPUs when things get back to normal. Anyway, thanks for watching this quick review, guys. I'll talk to you soon.